Welcome back to the channel everyone. Today we're gonna be talking about the tank units of Dissidia over Omnia Global. In the past, probably up until the EX Plus era, tanks have been unnecessary at best, but as content gets harder and harder, we see the value of tanks and where each of them shines. I will be listing every tank we currently have in the game, whether it's used right now or it's outdated, as well as offer my thoughts for their future. Warrior of Light, the OG tank. Ever since his level 70 rework back in September, the game has become the Warrior of Light show. He got his EX Plus at the beginning of the Chaos era, as well preventing him from ever falling off due to his damage. It's been almost 6 months now, and since his rise to power, this guy keeps getting used. He's a support type of tank, meaning he provides shields to the party as well as some healing with his EX, and to top it all off, every single one of his skills has some kind of battery, whether it's low with his EX or really strong with his throw buckler. Now keep in mind that you can rarely rely on Warrior of Light's healing because it comes from his EX, which is not the fastest out there. Another thing is that he cannot protect you against straight up AoE HP attacks, since his shields are only preventing brave damage. And lastly, my personal biggest problem with him is that he doesn't have the last stun passive, which lets him live at 1 HP like most tanks do. In the future, he gets yet another rework with his LD and burst weapons, which I will not go into detail, but I can say that it fixes most of his problems, skyrocket him back to the top ranks of this game. Edge. Now I know this is a bit of a grey area because some people don't consider him a tank, but I do, and Rem from Dissidia DB does as well, so I guess you just have to deal with it. Edge has been a meme in this game throughout most of his availability as a character. His level 60 made him slightly better, but nothing worth using at the time. Recently he received his level 70 awakening and a brand new EX and the realization, and it was so satisfying to see a bad unit become so strong. He can provide a party-wide dodge buff, while he himself can pretty much never be hit by any skill, and even though his shock doesn't deal the most damage, he can keep using them thanks to his EX giving him back shock uses. His EX is sadly slow, but it hits really hard with splash damage. His stuns are quite limited, but when you use them where it counts, it can save your whole run. His party evasion buff that comes from his EX can make some boss mechanics really easy to counter if you time it correctly. Last but not least, he is sadly locked behind the thunder element, making him unusable in thunder absorb fights. Edge is one of the first characters to receive a level 80 awakening in the game, meaning he gets to shine again in the future, even for a brief amount of time. Galuf, a personal favorite tank. I fell in love with this character the moment he got his level 60 awakening. If you've been following this channel for a long time, you already know how much I used to use him back in the day, especially in Final Fantasy V themed runs, and I still use him in a few meme runs even to this day. Galuf has the last stand passive like most tanks, allowing him to live at 1 HP if he's above 50% when he receives a lethal hit. He trivializes physical attack bosses, and he can provide some battery for his party along with a max brave buff. Right now his cover is useless against magic attack bosses or any kind of AoE HP damage, and he suffers from low damage as well as turn inefficiency, having to brave plus or HP plus a few times to preserve some of his skill uses. Next month, Galuf will receive his level 70 awakening as well as a brand new EX with realization, making him a top tier tank that also fixes some of his problems like being able to dodge magic attacks. Snow has sadly never had his time to shine yet because he got his level 60 awakening at a time when we didn't really need tanks to complete content. His kit is quite something though, ranging from hitting himself to taking less brave damage. He's actually pretty sturdy even for today's standards. Right now he suffers from low damage, but all that is going away when he gets his level 70 awakening and a brand new EX. I think it's in May, but don't quote me on that. Snow becomes the top tank for quite a while the moment Sing's Lost chapter event drops, so look forward to that. Man, I gotta say Square Enix really gives a lot of love to these Final Fantasy XIII characters in the Chaos era. Please comment down below to remind me that Funk is still in this game. Celes. And now we'll go over the lady of the group. Celes, who some people think is the real protagonist of Final Fantasy VI. Celes was quite good when she received her level 60 awakening and her EX, making her a perfect counter to magic type bosses. Seeing how she could solo her own Lost Chapters EX stage at the time. Ever since, she's seen some niche uses like in Ifrit Cosmos. Around 4 months ago, she received her level 70 awakening and her EX realization with Locke's Lost Chapter, and she's actually still getting used to this day. Her use is still limited versus physical type bosses, and she can't protect the party against AoE attacks, but her self-sustainability is through the roof, making her one of the hardest tanks to kill in this game, even with physical attacks, since she also has the Last Stand passive, which is basically a free get out of jail free card for tanks. Her rework gave her some party battery, and also her EX is up every other turn now, making her damage keep up with current content. Okay, if you ever think of a tank that can deal tons of damage, this kind comes to mind. The past has been rough for Zack because his initial release was right before the level 60 awakening, making him the last level 50 character we had, and then his Lost Chapter was so late in the Cosmos era that less than a month after we started getting the level 70 awakenings, and you know what that meant, Warrior of Light Fiesta. But oh boy, Zack came back for some revenge and he delivers. He has one of the most hard-hitting EX in the game, including DPS units, and his longevity is through the roof thanks to his quite fast charging EX and his amazing filler HP plus skill. You cannot break this guy, and even if he doesn't have his EX shield up, you don't care because he gets brave back from all of his skills once they deal their damage. Zack is arguably the strongest unit in the game, and if he's not, he's easily in the top 3. Knowing how much damage his EX deals is a double-edged sword because his damage falls off quite a bit in magic resisting stages unless you have someone to enchant him with an element that the boss is weak to. Like most tanks, Zack can't protect the party against AoE attacks. Also, this is a minor detail, but Zack has taunt for days because he can taunt an enemy even with his Brave Plus attack. Lastly, he is one of the first to receive a level 80 awakening, which is quite a surprise. Basch is the newest tank character we've had in the game, and he does his job well, but he's not without problems. He's really hard to kill, probably the hardest one out of all the tanks in the game right now, thanks to him taking reduced HP damage and having the Last Stand passive, which you will rarely need, to be honest, unless you're being really careless. He can sustain himself with heals and getting back brave from his skills, and the biggest niche that he has is that he can absorb AoE HP damage to himself, protecting the team completely from AoE HP skills. The most recent example being Pandemonium's recast ability in the Chaos stage. Basch has low damage output even for up-to-date tank standards, but if you back him up with strong DPS in the team, you will not notice it that much. One last problem that he has is having limited taunt with his Fulminating Darkness skill, which even though it's an AoE taunt, he gets only 5 uses of that skill and it's only a 3-turn taunt. Basch gets an amazing rework during his Lost chapter, fixing most of his problems, making him the top dog for like a month until Wearer of Light returns with his rework. If you managed to make it through the video until the end, thank you for sticking with me and I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had a lot of fun making it, deciding what I'll save for each tank and what not. If you liked the video, let me know in the comment section down below and maybe even consider subscribing for more videos like this or my usual chaos stage runs. These are hard times we are living in due to the coronavirus, and so I feel obligated to tell all of you to stay safe. The silver lining in this case is we get to play as much DFF or WoW as we want. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. See ya.